kill this. Pardon my dust. So today we're going to talk about stablecoins, and it's pretty important because of some of the topics I'm going to discuss next week, and that'll be some of the different utility tokens that are out there in the cryptoverse. So let me make sure that this is now working, and I need to raise this up just a little bit and make sure everything is fine. So sorry about this. Busy day today because there's so much activity in the marketplace, and let me see. Hang on a second. I got to get this perfect because I see some blue around the screen. Anyway, I'm sure it's good enough for you guys. What matters is the quality of the content. Anyway, let's jump in without further ado and talk about stablecoins. I'll try and make this as quick as possible. There is a lot of stuff to get through, and let's just go. First of all, big thank you everybody for being here. And math, money, freedom, you guys know the drill. The interesting thing about today, though, is this is edutainment. This is not financial advice. Now let's talk about stablecoins, not waste any more time. First of all, a quick primer. Everybody kind of knows what stablecoins are, but they're not quite sure. And there's many different types, many different flavors, lots of risks, a lot of confusion around things like taxes. We've heard a lot about things like regulation coming in, but here, if you think of Bitcoin as a coin, it's non-regulated, the price is volatile, and it's used for trading, exchanges, etc. Stablecoin is regulated, it's less volatile, sometimes not volatile if it's pegged to the dollar, and can be used in real-life use cases. So that's not it. There's an awful lot more. So a little more detail here, and sorry, there's going to be a lot of words we got to go through. But basically, if you think of any cryptocurrency as designed to have relatively stable price, that's really what a stable coin is. It's pegged to a commodity or a currency, or it could be regulated by an algorithm. We'll talk more about that as well. And price stability is achieved through collateralization, which is backed by something, whatever that asset might be. There are actually stable coins that are backed by gold, would you believe it or not? And the US dollar was backed by gold up until August, I think, 15th, 1971. So it's nearly 50 years old, the US dollar in its current form, when it's not backed by gold. And they provide a steady valuation, and peg-stable coins are the most popular. And they make up 90% of all market caps of all stable coins. Now, the other thing to consider as well is financial industry disruption. And I think I'm going to step out here for a second. When you look at the adoption and the growth of stablecoins and the utility, I think that's why governments are getting really, really nervous, because it does threaten the system. Let me explain why. So it's far easier to transfer stablecoins versus fiat. And there's a lot of controls in place to lock down large financial transactions. For example, anything over $10,000 needs to be reported to the IRS and the Fed, etc. But using stablecoins, it's a very easy on-ramp and off-ramp into cryptos. It's very easy to get in and out of crypto positions using stablecoins. And if anybody's ever traded, you'll know that. It also facilitates cross-border transactions. So you can move a lot of stablecoins at the flick of a switch anywhere in the world, just like, again, Bitcoin. It also lets you hedge against crypto market volatility and allows more stable DeFi, etc. So there's lots and lots of advantages of stablecoins. It's not just something that you can earn more interest on. Now, if we look at the ranking of all the stablecoins out there in the marketplace, you will see here, number one, Tether. Everybody knows about Tether and the Tether FUD and everything else, with about a $62 billion market cap. Then you got USDC, $27 billion, nearly half the size of Tether, because people are beginning to move from Tether over to USDC. Then you got Binance, about 12 billion, DAI, about 5, and down the list. So as this business grows, this whole industry grows, you will see these coins grow as well. I think the total market cap of all the stable coins today is over $100 billion. So it's very, very substantial. Now, there are 3 different stable coin categories. There's ones backed by US dollars or equivalent currencies. There's ones backed by cryptocurrencies. And there's ones that are backed by algorithms. And we'll talk about the risks of the pros and cons of each of these as we go forward. Now, it is a confusing space. So if we look at the fiat-backed stablecoins, you have some of the names, some of the new names as well that are popping up now. Things like Diem from Facebook. I'm sure there's a lot of groans in the audience right now when I say that. You've got the Binance USD, you got Tether, and USDC, etc. There's an army of them, and as we go forward in this cryptoverse, there's going to be more. Then there's the crypto-backed ones. DAI is the most popular, and that's backed by actual crypto assets. And then you got your algorithmic ones. Ampleforth is probably the most well-known there. Now, the whole space is really growing so fast. Blockchain firms have raised a huge amount of money over the last couple of quarters, and you've got people like PayPal investing in Curve to build out crypto infrastructure and a stablecoin. You've got the central bank digital currencies that are trying to do something similar as well. You've got JP Morgan dabbling in this space. You've got Morgan Stanley dabbling in this space. You've got Goldman Sachs dabbling in this space. Everybody wants to be part of this whole stablecoin revolution. So they are here to stay. Not a spoiler, but we got a lot further to go. So let's talk quickly about the US-backed ones. You have ones like Tether, USDC, TrueUSD, Paxos Standard. All of them are backed 1-to-1 to a US dollar. So basically, when you see them trade, they should be very, very equal to a dollar. Sometimes, though, they go to 1.02 or 98 cents, depending on volatility. Now, the pros and cons of USD backed, obviously, the pros of these stablecoins is they're the longest, have been around the longest, most established. They are widely used across all exchanges. And some audits have come out to prove some transparency. Now, the cons of some of these, Tether, and their name has been soiled many times. They've been hacked. They've imploded as recently as 2018. There's allegations that it's used to manipulate Bitcoin price, and a lot of other bad stuff. And the regulators are apparently breathing down their neck. So the big question is, and we'll talk about this as well, is there Tether risk? Can it blow up? And if it does, what impact will it have on the market? So let's talk about the cryptocurrency-backed stablecoins. These are the ones backed by crypto of some sort. So for every dollar worth of crypto that is locked up, that backs up the actual the stablecoin that's crypto backed. Some of the names are DAI, most popular one, and these protocols rely on arbitrageurs to mint burn the supply to make sure it's balanced at that $1 value. So it's interesting and complicated as well. Now, there are some pros and cons as well of crypto backed ones. Pros are they are decentralized, they are transparent, and they're easily liquidated. The cons are they're very volatile, very complex, and vulnerable to liquidation. So you can see here, the more we go away from the dollar-backed stablecoins to cryptocurrency-backed, and now algorithmic ones, the higher the risk. And that's important for you all to know as well. And again, 90% of all of these are dollar-backed stablecoins. So algorithmic-backed, these are kind of interesting. Ampleforth is probably the most popular one. And holders can experience gains and losses in the same way they can experience gains or losses holding Bitcoin or Ethereum. We'll talk after this about what the market's doing as well, so stay tuned for that. But basically, algorithmic backed ones are definitely a speculative investment asset, and the probability of gain and the probability of loss are both greater than zero. So be very careful of these. I'm not going to dwell on these algorithmic backed ones for obvious reasons, but a quick summary is the pros are they don't need collateral. That can be a good or bad thing depending on which seat you're in. They are autonomous, they are decentralized, and they're stable. But the cons are they are very complex and very risky. So we don't advise them here. Not financial advice, of course. So let's talk about the risks of stablecoins. Biggest risk, obviously, losing their peg for a certain amount of time. And this has happened in the past as well. Also, when you look at crypto-backed stablecoins, there is a magnified risk as well because of the volatility of the underlying assets. And then algorithmic stablecoins, the risk is the algorithm or the game theory fails to function and it knocks the price of equilibrium and they blow up. Now, if a major stablecoin blows up, could it impact the crypto market? And we'll talk more about that in a minute. So let's talk about Tether, the big elephant in the room. Many of you are concerned about Tether. What happens if Tether blows up? Will it kill the market? So first of all, a little history. It is the first ever stablecoin and by far the largest, $62 billion as we mentioned. And it's been pretty stable, but USDC is beginning to take market share away from that. And it is also the third largest crypto out there with only Bitcoin and Ethereum that are larger. It is issued by a centralized company, so it's not truly decentralized. Tether Limited, a subsidiary of Bitfinex. and it has been extremely controversial in the past. And they've settled with New York regulators, and a whole bunch of other terrible things have happened. Many of you have seen this before. In fact, there was a video we had planned to do this earlier this week, and this was scheduled for today. But this slide was actually shown by somebody else. This comes from Tether itself, and it shows you that 75% of their underlying backing is made up of a whole bunch of commercial paper, which is very, very scary indeed. I would bet my bottom dollar that there isn't a complete backing of US dollars in that commercial paper behind the scenes. So that is the scary thing to look at here. So we'll see what'll come out, but even if it is only, say, 90% or 85% complete, it's still good enough. It will take a hit down the line, and we'll see what happens. But let's talk about the track record of Tether. Tether and its parent company has a horrible record, as we mentioned. In 2016, Bitfinex was hacked for $72 million. They made everybody whole. In 2017, Tether was hacked for $31 million. 2018, Department of Justice investigated Tether, and they settled. And 2019, New York Attorney General investigated Tether, and they settled as well there. So it's just been very, very bad 4 or 5 years for poor Tether. Now, what happens if Tether blows up? So we tried to put together an analogy of exactly what the situation is, because my biggest concern is a lot of people fear, if Tether does blow up and they find out they don't have all the assets backed, will that destroy the whole crypto market? For example, will it take down Bitcoin? And that's what we try to analyze here with this chart. But we have to go back into a little bit of history. So between 2017 and today, Tether went from 0% to over 75% of Bitcoin's trading volume. Today, Tether is used for about 10% of the trading volume. But between 2013 and 2017, CNY, which was a kind of a predecessor, went from 92% to nearly 0% of Bitcoin's trading volume. And the reason, that's when China banned Bitcoin trading in 2017, and it led to the rise of Tether as a replacement. All the money basically swashed over in the space of a year or so. So by 2018, the CNY volume was replaced by Tether. Now, despite the country's ban, Chinese citizens are still among the biggest holders and traders of Bitcoin. And it's one of the things we always say, you can try ban Bitcoin, but you just make it more sought after and more popular. And many major exchanges like OKEX and Huobi simply moved overseas to continue servicing their Chinese market. So that's basically it. So we don't see any big problem happening if it does blow up. Bitcoin has proven itself to be very, very resilient, and stable coins just swap around. And now we have so many stable coins that even if one did blow up, we'd be okay. Now, this is another piece of research which shows that Tether FUD may be overblown. And here, this is data based on aggregate issuance. And basically, if there is no systematic effort of Tether issuance on the price of Bitcoin or Ethereum, basically stablecoins don't inflate crypto markets according to this research. And when they measure the effects of supply shocks to Tether and supply on the price of Bitcoin after controlled experiments, they proved that there was no major impact. So again, the results of this particular study, I think, was something like maximum impact on volume was about 10%, and the Tether exchange for Bitcoin is about 10% today. So if Tether did blow up, maybe Bitcoin would get a 10-20% haircut, but I'm sure it would recoup very quickly, because that's what Bitcoin does. It always comes back stronger over time. So this is why we believe the Tether FUD may be completely overblown. So it's very resilient. Tether is both resilient, and so is Bitcoin. Incredibly resilient. We saw what happened with the Chinese miners recently. And Bitfinex has tried their best to make customers whole after things like hacks, etc. And they've also settled lawsuits. So again, that's probably enough of Tether. We're not that concerned. And Tether still has a huge role. People convert their fiat sometimes into Tether before they actually trade Bitcoin. And this is made up about 10% of all the volume today. Not all the volume, but 10%, which is a big chunk. And if we look at the market cap, actually, it's kind of interesting when you see that, because market cap of Tether is 62 billion. Market cap of Bitcoin today is about 700 billion. So it's nearly about 10% as well. So let's talk about USDC real quick. It is far superior in terms of the backing, and I do recommend it more than Tether, just in case anything does happen to Tether. At least with USDC, it is a lot more secure. They've got corporate bonds making up 5%, commercial paper 9%, treasuries 12%, Yankee CDs 13%, and cash and government money market funds 61%, which is pretty impressive compared to the Tether one, which is 75% commercial paper. Now, Paxos is even better. Paxos is 96% cash and cash equivalents and 4% US Treasury bills. This is the most rock solid, but a lot smaller than USDC and Tether as well. So if you had to pick one, Paxos or USDC would be the better one to be in. So let's talk about stablecoins, and they are here to stay, we believe. They are going to be a key part of our future, despite all the regulatory FUD that's happening right now. And PayPal has held talks about launching their own stablecoin. Facebook has theirs, the Libra Diem, whatever they want to call it, or they might give it a different name next month. Who knows? Bank of America have partnered with Paxos to utilize stablecoins to speed up settlements. It's kind of interesting when you look at Bank of America. They've done a complete about face from warning investors a few months ago not to touch Bitcoin and crypto assets to trying to get into their own stablecoin business, because the banks realize if they're not part of the game, they're going to be closed out entirely, and stablecoins are the future. And the fourth thing is Circle, the parent company USDC, is going to go public via a SPAC. And remember, what's the golden rule with SPACs? SPACs are very speculative and very dangerous. So SPACs are specs. Specs for speculation. I avoid them like the plague. Just not financial advice either, of course. Now, regulation is a risk. This is a big concern. You have people like Elizabeth Warren coming out this week, very concerned about stablecoins and Tether and everything else. And you can see why, because somebody's whispering in their ear. It's like, oh, well, people can move a lot of money around the globe, hard to track. And there is a lot of that concern. And I think regulation does have to come in to make sure things like terrorist protocols and everything are adhered to. So we'll see where all that goes. But at the same time, when we look at regulation, governments around the world are developing their own CBDCs. This is to combat these stablecoins. The US may be several years out. China are literally there already. And there's a whole bunch of countries following. I can't even keep count anymore, but at least 20 countries are planning or beginning to implement their CBDCs as we go forward. US probably 3 to 4 years away from having their own. And proposals made in Congress to make stablecoin issuers obtain a banking charter and receive approval from the Federal Reserve in order to issue stablecoins. That's what they're trying to push through right now. And we'll see what happens. And that's why it's almost a good thing that some of the big banks are in the mix already. And the Circle SPAC is happening as well. Now, this is a very important point. And I hate to talk about boring taxes, but there's so much misconception out there. And I get a lot of questions about this. So stablecoins, and please, I'm not a financial advisor or a tax accountant or anything like that. But stablecoins such as USDT, USDC, etc. are still considered to be cryptocurrency. And as such, it's property. And as such, there is an impact on capital gains. So I put together a very, very simple example for you all to wrap your heads around. And again, I don't know, every tax jurisdiction is different. But stablecoins are treated as property under the IRS in the US, and sometimes the European market follows the IRS market too to some extent, but each country can be different. So if you receive 1,000 USDC at $1 each, and then you spend that 1,000 USDC to buy Bitcoin, hopefully at 39,000 about right before lunchtime, my time today, you'll notice it went up 2,000. But not only that, but at the time you spend the 1,000 USDC, the value of USDC was $1.02. That means you made $2 in capital gains under the current tax rules. And that needs to be reported. So many people think, and I get the question all the time, oh, you can convert stablecoins into fiat and vice versa, and there's no tax ramifications. There are. So beware of that, everybody. And again, not tax advice. Now, let's talk a bit about the SPAC and what it means. So Circle's business operations, they want to be part of this whole Bitcoin revolution, the importance of stablecoins that go forward, and they've decided to SPAC this thing. The success is really tied to the demand for Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies. And Circle knows how big this market could be. And there's a lot of transaction fees that are part and parcel of this whole business. So it is literally building a whole new currency, and they want to be part of it. But just remember, SPACs are pure speculation, so don't do it. Now, there is rumor about this SPAC that It's going to be used by the US government to build the US CBDC. It's very far off. We don't know if that's ever true or not, so ignore that for now. And again, beware of SPACs. Now, could a stablecoin become a CBDC? Most likely no. There's another question that comes up. Governments want to develop their own from scratch so they can have full control of their people. And we know we love CBDCs. Sarcasm. Sorry about that. It's Friday. Now I'm going to open Q&A. I hope that wasn't too long. It's important to really understand the backdrop of where these things are coming from and how important they are as we go forward, because they do impact us all, especially when we go next week. We're going to start talking about some of the utility tokens and the importance of those as well. And are they investable? How they can be managed, how you manage things like loans and real estate and all of that good stuff. So I just saw from Michael, thank you so much. Senator Elizabeth Warren asks me to tell you that she discovered a way to put toothpaste back in the tube. Would this change your investment ratio of equities to crypto? That's a brilliant question, Michael. It's very funny. No, so I still remain extremely bullish on all things crypto and everything else. And I think when you look at the complete mess out there, my thesis is always, inflation is horrible. And this is before C19 and the whole world we're in right now. And when I saw the money printing happening, it just became the most exciting thing ever. And now when I look at the adoption and the sovereigns and everything else that's happening, and even just looking at the Bitcoin chart right now, I mean, it's at 41,500. I almost have a perfect record in the last 7 or 8 days. Every time I'm doing a live stream, Bitcoin goes up. So I was joking yesterday that I should just stay live all the time if anybody's here to listen to me. And we can just make the markets go parabolic. So that'd be awesome. So big congratulations as well to everybody out there who stuck through the last 2 months and didn't sell, didn't get shaken out. You're beginning to get your dividends right now. I had so many reports of people coming in saying, oh yeah, I've just turned green for the first time in 2 months or 3 months, and people are very happy. So stay strong, everybody. As I always say, the future is very bright. And let's take some questions. Winning, yeah. Where's the sell wall? Sell wall was destroyed. I think it was like 1 o'clock today or something, 12:30 Pacific. I was watching it on Coinbase Pro. It just disintegrated. It was very funny. Something about BitBoy. Yes, apparently somebody told me that BitBoy has stopped trading crypto altogether. So maybe he's onto something. Maybe he knows something we don't. I think it's not a good day to stop trading crypto for sure, especially all the good stuff that's happening. Patreon.com. Oh, somebody's asking me a question. So how do you budget your time, James? That's an interesting question too. That I just wish there was more time because there's so much to do and there's so much to share. And this is just an extremely exciting time to be alive. And the biggest reward I get personally is sharing things that I learn with you all. So it's great. Yeah, I wish I could make Bitcoin go up. By the way, I think I missed something. Gordy Taylor, what do you think of Reserve as a threat to Bitcoin? It functions as a hedge against inflation, not pegged to dollar and currency. See Venezuela. I haven't looked at Reserve. I don't think, though, Bitcoin has any threats anywhere on Earth. I always say it's pristine, it's unique, it's the most established, it's the most rock solid. But no, Reserve is not a threat to Bitcoin. Bitcoin doesn't have any threats. It is the apex predator. It's the black hole that's swallowing everything. So, but thank you so much. And I think going by the symbol, you must be in the United Kingdom. I hope everything is okay there. And Venezuela, yeah, that country itself is a real mess. So, just watching the crypto market as well. It is exploding. Like I was watching, I think Chainlink was the first thing to blow up, and now the rest is coming. So, where do you think Matic price would be at the end of the year? Aha! So I got to be very careful about giving price predictions and stuff. But I have a detailed video. Check out my Matic video, and at the very end, the timestamps are in there. I have all my price predictions. But I think it's good. I don't think Matic will be hurt as much as people know. And it seems like Polygon Matic is extremely popular in India, because every from India keeps asking me that question. But check out that video as well. Jason Price, is there a place for a gold-backed stablecoin given fiats all go to zero? Yes, there is. There is a thing called Pax Gold. A lot of people actually see that as kind of their fiat hedge, as a kind of a stablecoin type play. And I think a lot of money could flow into it. And apparently it's backed by real gold bullion. So if you have enough Pax Gold worth, you can technically, from what I've read, walk into where they store the gold bullion and just take out your bar of gold if you want. So I don't know how true that is. It sounds very, very difficult, but we'll see. Blow up the cron. Thoughts on XRP? XRP has 51 billion tokens in escrow that they can dump at any time. That will create crazy selling pressure. There was a little debate I had with somebody earlier today. They're saying, oh, XRP is going to $500 or $1,000. Do the math. So there's 100 billion tokens. 100 billion. If it goes to 1,000, that means the market cap of XRP would be $100 trillion, which is an eighth of all the global assets and wealth and currencies and debt and everything else in the world. Not going to happen. So XRP Army, I don't know where you guys get your information, but there's better places to park your money. Not investment advice, of course. Very important to say that. Kermit, you're back again. When using DCA, is it best to spread the amount across all cryptos in your portfolio or put it all into the worst performing of your portfolio? That's a very interesting one. Again, I can't give anybody advice. I've got to be very careful because there's a lot of stuff going around YouTube right now about what people on YouTube say. But what I do is I look at where things are benchmarked against my price prediction models over time. So imagine you've got something that's extremely beaten down, and imagine you're looking at 10 cryptos. 9 of them have run already up 50%, but one is still stuck at zero. Then I decide, I reassess my thesis, I look at the fundamentals, I read about it, and I try to figure out, why is it so weak? What's the problem? And if I'm still committed to my original investment thesis to get in the first place, then I'll buy. But really, it's interesting. So today, for example, I was looking at the market. I was watching Bitcoin very carefully, both before lunch and after. And that was 4 hours ago. And I just saw it beginning to roll. And I said, oh, I better move quick. So I went and bought some Ethereum because I didn't want to chase Bitcoin. But it's funny because I could have bought Ethereum at $1,800 a few weeks ago. And today I bought more at a much higher price. But, my thesis was, I believe certain names will move really fast, especially Ethereum, because of August 4th that's coming. So that's kind of what I do. But it's really difficult. And I have a model I use to look at many different ratios and factors, deltas, gains over the last 7 days. I look at the charts, read all the news, and then I come up with my answer. Kim, TMC. Was the 0.02 gained per dollar taxable on the 1K example you gave because the stablecoin interest? It wasn't stablecoin interest. It was actually, if you look at stablecoins, they can fluctuate. This was like a real-time transaction. $1,000, no interest was earned in that 1 day period. But the stablecoin sometimes can fluctuate, and you can see it as well in your charts, from $1 to $1.02. And that 2 cents gain is something that is taxable in the eyes of the law. So everybody be very careful with that. It's only a matter of time before the tax authorities, they're really coming back, at least in the United States. They have huge shortfalls. They've been printing so much money, they've got to find a way to bring in some more back. So they're going after people. So just be careful of that. And it's tax and short-term capital gains and long-term capital gains are very, very important to be aware of if you're an investor. So always keep track of that. And I personally, I try to make sure that any type of selling I do is in the long-term capital gains bucket, because if you're in a place like California, and short-term capital gains are added to your income, and between federal and state tax, I pay over 50%. So not a good thing. Octavius Splevinsky, I hope I got that right. I know you're a busy man, but any chance you could take a look at BPro? It's such an undervalued, unique concept. Code as a service. Very early too. Well, I love everything as a service. Software as a service, data as a service, code as a service. That's a new one for me. I will have a look because very, very interested in that and how that could work. I know the whole world is moving towards gig economy and automatic coding and stuff like that, so that could be interesting. Hiroshi Sakakibara, what do you think about the risk of BlockFi or Celsius? I have majority of my crypto in Cold Wallet, but I kind of want to earn some passive income with it. Yeah, what I always I should say what I do, not financial advice. I'm very concerned about BlockFi because they keep changing their rates. So back in March, I think it was the sales team at BlockFi were coming at me hard to push their product, and I don't shill or push anything on this channel. But they're saying, "Oh, come on, tell everybody you can get 8.6% on Bitcoin." And I was like, but they didn't talk about the details. And then a couple of weeks later, 8 weeks later, they turned down to 5% on Bitcoin. And now if you deposit more than 5 Bitcoin, your average return is 0.935% or something crazy. So you don't get a lot of interest back on things like Bitcoin. However, Celsius, I do trust. They don't play games. The CEO told me personally that they share 80% of all profits back with the Celsians, which are the Celsius members. So Hiroshi, be very careful, but if you do need that passive income, take 10 to 30% of your crypto and I deposit it in somewhere like Celsius, and they have very good risk security protocols, and then you can get some of your passive income. But I would not put all your eggs in one basket, and I'd be very careful with BlockFi. Of course, not financial advice. So, GT, there's native DeFi DEX on Bitcoin. SoFi thoughts, or DeFi thoughts. We haven't had a chance to dig deep on that one, I'm afraid, but I'm a big believer in DeFi, and it is on the list, but we have so much other stuff we're looking at right now for everybody. So stay tuned for that. GT, thank you so much. Caligula, Monica wants the beach life all the time. Bought more ETH today. Nice one. Well done, Monica. Added to your Bitcoin stash, so it's great. Kermit, I'm bullish on VeChain because I think once China allows crypto purchase to the Chinese, they will buy VeChain. It's a Chinese-based crypto. Am I crazy? Yeah, it's hard to say with China. I still have a little bit of China exposure, but I do it differently. I have a little Baba and a little Baidu. Something about the bees and Chinese tech companies. VeChain, I think there's much more upside in other cryptos. Take Solana. Also, there's a lot of other cryptos getting into the supply chain management space that VeChain is in and dominates. So I don't know. I wouldn't. I think there's even Chainlink. If you want to play in the supply chain, and Chainlink would be a good place to do it, as their Oracle position is really good and everything. So again, not financial advice, but I looked at VeChain. I have a small VeChain position, but I didn't add to it. And especially even when it went all the way down to like 6 cents the other day, wasn't even attractive to me at that price, because I believe there are going to be faster horses. So let me see, make sure I am getting all the questions. Yes. Bob Hansen. You say that there are faster horses than, there we are, faster horses than Cardano, such as Aave. You predict 12x return for ADA and 7x for Aave by 2030. Have your predictions changed? They depend. So I need to update my models on that. Cardano, I think, my prediction, I shouldn't say guess, but is like $3, maybe $5 in a really, really strong bull market. And Aave could go completely ballistic. It just depends. I also factor in risk. And the problem that I have with Cardano is they've yet to prove themselves with smart contracts. I know something's coming in September. People are very, very excited and very bullish, but we'll see where it goes. But I do have a position in Cardano, but I've got a much bigger position in Aave. So we'll see. But I need to check on the 12x return versus ADA. And it also depends as well where that 12x come from, because 12x might have been when Cardano was at $1. But I never said, when I put my ADA prediction together, it was quite a while ago, that was for 2030. So we'll see. Bob, thank you so much for the question, though. It's a tough one. Bombiggy, hey James, I love the idea to show DCA with George, Rob, and you. My three favorites: PS Huddle, DCA, and Diamond Heads. Exactly. Yep, DCA. We're going to George from Cryptos R Us and Rob from Digital Asset News and myself. We're going to try a new Sunday show, and we came up with the name DCA to represent our channels. D for Digital Asset, C for Cryptos R Us, and A for Invest Answers. And I thought DCA is a very good way as well to impart the acronym to help people dollar cost average into the market. It's still one of the safest plays. Timing the market's hard. I believe timing the market's possible. But if you can't time the market, take your $50 a week or whatever and stick it into something like Bitcoin, and not financial advice, of course, but it's a good way to hedge your fiat currency from what could come. David T. Algorand is the best project you can invest in right now. Changed my mind. I have Algorand. Algorand's in my top 10. So I agree with you, but it's been extremely weak lately. And I'm just waiting for it to pop, and I know it's going to pop soon. Let me just look at the chart right now of Algorand. It has just been flat, while everything else has been going parabolic. So it's one of those kind of sleepers. You always have sleepers. Matic has been the same way. Kind of a little quiet for a long time, and then you've got the action on today on like Uniswap and Chainlink, and even Avalanche is popping now. The VeChain fans that are out there, Polkadot, Solana, Ethereum, it's all been good. Let me see actually where Bitcoin is going right now, because it was up and it fell ever so slightly. It's down a little bit, but still up $80 since we started this stream. That's always good news. So David T, nothing wrong with Algorand. Hang tight. Not financial advice, I should say as well, of course. Let me catch up with any other questions. We got Eric Wag. Any thoughts on Grayscale, GBTC, 2% annual fee, Trust versus Osprey, OBTC, 0% fee? GBTC is the biggest. I believe GBTC will convert to an ETF before Osprey. So we'll see what happens. But yeah, the 2% fee is a big factor. But if you can, I don't think Osprey is trading at a discount like Grayscale is. I know the Grayscale discount went down to 5%, I think, yesterday. I didn't check it today. And I know it's dwindling away because of the bullish market. And it'll probably actually be close to zero next week if the money continues to flow into Bitcoin and the supply on exchanges continues to fall. So from that perspective, Eric, I like to get the biggest original name and the one that'll convert to an ETF first. But if you can still buy GBTC at a 5% discount, that'll more than overcome the Osprey 1.5% delta, which will cover you for 3 or 4 years of fees. So that'd be my thoughts on that one. Abby Reddy, great content as always. Tesla had a good end of the week. Price target to get into the leap options. Yeah, I can't give you advice, but what I would do is, because it did run, I mean, Tesla was down at 620, I think, in its weak point right after earnings. And then the next day, a German analyst gave it a $750 price target, and then the world started to wake up and say, oh, well, Tesla had the most incredible earnings. It's good to see them back. I would wait for maybe a little bit more market weakness, but I would like to buy, if I was buying, it would be like $550 or $600 leaps for January 2023. If I'm buying the 600s, I wouldn't want to spend more than $180 on them. And if you go lower to the 550s, same thing, maybe $200 on the 550s. But they are very, very expensive, so you got to be careful with that as well. But the upside is great. I mean, Tesla has a huge future, and price target. You just look at what you spend for the leap and try to figure out what the price will be in January 2023, and might believe Tesla should easily be, $1,500 range in 2023. Just my thoughts. Michael Cloyd, thoughts on equities. Keep powder dry for August. Swoon. Could August and COVID FUD drive a mini crash and buying opportunity? Should we DCA in? I think I do expect softness in the market in August. I was looking at some data today as well, actually from Guggenheim. Yay, Scott Miner did something good instead of saying Bitcoin's going to 15,000. And they were looking at the overlay of the C19 data with the Delta variant compared to the exact same time last year. I think at least in the US, 56% of people are vaccinated, but it doesn't stop them from getting it. I think there will be a lot of FUD out there, a lot of negative media. It'll make people very nervous. And plus the fact that the S&P 500 is nearly at 4,500, it's got to take a breather. So a mini crash, a 10% correction, not a crash. I don't like the word crash. Crash is a 20% or more loss. I think a 10% haircut is going to happen. It may not happen now until September, but something should definitely give in August. That being said, you never know. So if you do see something that you really like buying Tesla at 620 3 days ago, that would be worth a little DCA in. But the equity market is just so lofty right now. I am sitting on cash, so that's my position. Kevin Eclipse, great stuff. Any thoughts on uranium, specifically Uroi and Cameco? I had a look at the uranium market. I was looking at the UUUU ticker. I actually have it here. Hold on a second. And I couldn't get an option position that I found attractive. It's kind of like playing with the SPX or something. But I was looking at uranium because I think it's Energy Fuels Inc. or something. It's a big energy play. And I couldn't find a way to make it attractive. I don't know Cameco. But I do know uranium is apparently hot right now. But I think it's just much easier to make money on technology stocks, disruptive stocks, rather than playing with energy and commodities. That's always a very manipulated game. So I'd say, Kevin, be careful. I did have a look. I had a conversation with somebody on Patreon a month ago regarding this, and I couldn't find a way to make it work. Looking at the chart, looking at the upside, looking at the cost of options and the spreads, it wasn't attractive to me. Glenn K. James, thank you for all your work. Look forward to the Cal analysis and supporting the animals. Thank you. The Cell analysis, Cell token, yes, that'll be out next week. But thank you. I got to watch as well what I say. Sometimes when I say what I'm going to do, other YouTubers do the content first. So anyway, Carl M. Hello, James. What is your opinion on PAX and PAXG? PAX seems to be the safest of all stablecoins. So that's good. It's a good way to park money. We haven't analyzed in great detail the returns compared to USDC, but they seem to be okay. And PAXG, I'm not a gold bug. I don't believe in gold, and I get a lot of hate when I say that, because I just look at, gold performance since the year 2010 to today. It's lost 44% of its purchasing power. So if you basically look at the value of gold in 2010 and subtract your true CPI every year for the last 11 years, you've lost 40%. Now, if you put the same money into the S&P 500 for that same period of time, you've made over 300%, or 280%. I can't remember the exact number. So from that perspective, I know why people think gold is a good hedge. I just think the new people in the world today, all the investors under 40, the last thing they will buy is gold. Drop a comment below if you're under 40 and if you're buying gold, let me know. But there are some people saying they are buying PAXG. So I think there's, again, better places to park money. It wouldn't be like if I wanted a safe hedge or bet, I'd just buy Bitcoin. I actually tweeted something earlier today as well, which is part of my video yesterday, showing how gold is hyperinflating against Bitcoin. So interesting one to look at. If you guys are on Twitter, just look up Invest Answers. So let me make sure I'm getting through the questions. And it's nearly Friday, so I won't stay that long. That's a cool name. There's a ton of questions. My goodness. I might be here a while. So that was Carl M. And I'm going to slow down after this, so please don't super chat me anymore. Jonathan Hernandez. James, if altcoins run up for the rest of the year, should I sell and take profit, then buy more in the bear market, or just hold in the long run? Yeah, I think what I plan to do I can't say what you should do, but get rid of your low quality altcoins that are completely overvalued. And you'll see a lot of those come there. But there might be some that have real, true intrinsic value. So you have things like companies like Goldman Sachs and Morgan Stanley. They have a thesis that Ethereum will be a store of value next year. So things like Ethereum, you probably don't want to sell. Bitcoin, you never want to sell. But other things, yeah, maybe if they get completely overinflated. We'll be monitoring that carefully and putting together bespoke exit plans for each key token that we watch carefully. Brian, James, what makes you think, what do you think about the Bitcoin alt cycle? Alts bleed as Bitcoin runs, then market moves. Yeah, it goes in kind of cycles. Right now, you have the speculator type investors that do follow the alts. You got Bitcoin now, though, has a different breed of people behind it. So you have institutional money, you've got the Michael Saylors, you've got sovereign countries. You know that places like Iran and Russia are gathering Bitcoin on the side. You've got high net worth individuals that want to park some of their big family money into the asset. You got pensions buying it. The pension funds will buy the least risky ones. So I still think there's a huge amount of upside still for Bitcoin. But the speculators, there's people that have the psychology that, oh my God, I can't buy a full Bitcoin, but you know what? I can buy a whole bunch of XRP. So they buy that instead, and that's kind of what happens. But yeah, it does move in cycles. I did say, I think in a video yesterday or the day before, that alts were going to run because Bitcoin had run. Bitcoin had that 29K up to 40K move very quickly in 6 or 7 days, 5.5 days, whatever it was. And I knew the alts were getting ready to pump, and they did. Just look at the charts for things like Chainlink and stuff. But when they hit the top, if we go by history, Bitcoin hits the top first. And then the alts follow about 2 weeks later. But we don't know if that's going to happen this year. I think the cycle will be longer and things will be different. S40A, do you own any XRP? Nope, and never have and never will. Satwik Deshpande, would love to see Harmony One versus Eagled in the same episode and then comparing them to Solana. Great idea. I can tell you right now, Harmony One tokenomics is horrible. So you're not going to get a good result there. Elrond, we're kind of looking at. But Solana is my favorite. Like my favorites are Ethereum, Chainlink, Solana, Aave. They're kind of my big bets. I must confess, my moon bag is XRP. Well, be careful. Just look at the tokenomics. Ryan Zola. When I was a young man, there was a famous runner. I think her name was Zola Budd, and she ran without shoes. I wonder if that's any relation. So happy to finally catch a live stream and donate to the animals. You guys, so kind. However, I joined a bit late. Was there any discussion about the Gemini dollar? No, we didn't go into that because it's so small yet so far. And thank you for the edutainment. Yes, Gemini dollar we haven't looked at yet. We're waiting for it to be a bit more established. We just looked at the big guys. So sorry about that. But I think that would be a good safe one. And again, I think next year there will probably be 100 stable coins. It'll be very, very much like the Wild West. And even if you look at things like utility tokens, they from big exchanges and Celsius and other players, they could also technically become stable coins too as we go forward. So, Kate, thank you so much. Luke Broyles, could you speak on investors who share their portfolio's net worth, yourself or others? Is this a habit? Is helpful, harmful, dangerous, encouraging? I don't know. I can't give investment advice, but I'm very open, very transparent. I share what I have and what I do. Always have done. I have nothing to hide. The vision of this channel is to share good information because there's so much bad information out there. Good, honest information that'll help guide people in the right way. There's a lot of people that push a lot of things that are just really, really bad. Just look at the Nikola lawsuit. I mean, it's hard to believe that such huge companies can scam so many people. And the people, this is what really upsets me. This is one of the reasons I do this. And you hit a nerve, Luke, but you hit a really good point, is you've got a lot of young investors, people under 40, sometimes there's people under 50 getting into the markets for the first time, trying to achieve financial freedom. And they hear things like, oh, Tesla's good, but you know what? It's too expensive. So I'm going to buy some Nikola instead. I'm going to put all my money in Nikola because that's going to be the next Tesla. And they get wiped out. This is what we're trying to prevent. So I think as long as you follow people that kind of know what they're doing, have a proven track record, know how to make money, know how to pick stocks, know how to pick cryptos, know how to manage portfolios, know how to manage risk using options, derivatives, know how to understand macroeconomic movements and sense everything that's happening in the market, then you're good. But just some people out there, they shill things for their own benefits. And the good thing about here is I don't ask for anything. I don't shill anything. I don't ask for likes. But like and subscribe if you want. But I think people are smart enough to like and subscribe themselves. So I don't need to ask for that. So net, you got to trust people. It's a very good question. It's really making me think, because some people pretend they have stuff that they don't, so they can pump assets up or down or whatever, or manipulate things. And hopefully that's not the case, but I've seen it happen too often. And it happens everywhere. It happens with commodities. It happens with crypto, big time. It happens with stocks. It happens all over the place. Kermit, you're very busy tonight. If you're in the USA, do you know of any strategies to either avoid or lower capital gains and taxes when taking profits? Yeah, you can find ways to write off other losses. So, for example, imagine you had some rental properties, and you had a big loss because you had to do a roof repair or install a new heating system or a big paint job that's amortized over years. You can take a hit on your rental business and write that off against your capital gains. So you've got to always think as well very strategically about where the money's going to be, because if you're trying to tax plan and it's the 31st of December, you're too late. Your tax planning needs to begin before the year is half over, so you can manage all that. You need to have a good idea of where you're going to be in terms of capital gains, short term or otherwise, and just hedge one thing off the other. And sometimes a good accountant is worth it, but also a good spreadsheet can do everything a good accountant can do too. So, not tax advice. So, Kermit, great question. But always think ahead, always plan ahead. Even like when I started working in Switzerland, they did everything with a 5-year time horizon. Every single plan had 5-year time horizon, and that's infused my brain. That's why I do like 5-year price predictions, sometimes even 10-year price predictions. And trading has to be that, have that long-term time frame, not just, I'm going to buy XRP because it's going to go to the moon next week. That's not a strategy. So, but same thing for tax planning. Be very careful on that. Let me see. JRAM, good to see you again. For the animals. Entrust. Web mining. A lot of people pinged me on that lately. I don't know anything about it, to be honest, but we're going to have a look, JRAM. So thank you for the question. And Bombiggy, I swapped my VeChain for Sol. Good move. Solana is, again, even if you just look at the backers of Solana and what they're doing and the adoption and the different uses of the protocol, it is mind-blowing. Opinion on Yearn Finance. Is it heavy manipulated? I had a look at Yearn Finance a while ago and a few of those other plays, and I did not like the look of it for one or two reasons, and I can't remember what they are, and I don't want to misspeak, but it didn't get my attention, and I walked away from it. So, Octavius, let me check into that and find out why I didn't like it. Because I've been looking at like over 100 cryptos and I don't remember everyone specifically. And that's why another big part of what we do here is we focus very heavily, no more than 20 equities, and deep, no more than 15 cryptos. 10 is optimal, but we have too many. But there's so many good ones right now that are kind of good. Like Jason Thompson, he says they're Bitcoin, Ethereum, Link, Cardano, Sol, Polygon. Yeah, yeah, some good names there. Let me see. Alex, UST is the future. Yeah, stablecoins are really taking over, and that's why the regulators are so worried. You know, they like things that they can control, and it's hard to control stablecoins, although they will. And a little regulation is good in that, because just think of stablecoins as being future cash. The Black Crypto Walker. You've considered going around the blockchain with BitBoy? No, thank you. No. We have a very different philosophy. And I won't go into why that is. But the mission of this channel is to help people and not give them crazy dreams. Dave Pulitzer, come to you from Carmel today. Snacks are Wednesday. Thank you so much. I've been to Carmel many times. I have a lot of good memories. So it's a beautiful, beautiful part of the world. I hope it's not too foggy. Brian Mulhall, how do you feel about REITs as an opportunity for getting into real estate? Yeah, so REITs right now, and we'll wrap this up real soon. REITs I would stay away from because we still don't know where things are going with this pandemic. Most REITs tend to be commercial in nature. And unless you get a REIT that did things like storage facilities around big cities, I wouldn't touch them. Or perhaps single family homes, but then you'd be getting into BlackRock and stuff. There's better ways to get into real estate. Just go to Boise, Idaho or Texas and just find a place, find a fixer-upper and work on. Everybody needs a bit of real estate, but REITs, I've never seen good returns and I've been looking at them for 20 years and I've never once purchased one. So Felicia Dorsey, thank you so much for your informative channel. You've become part of my daily routine. Yes, sending love. Tulsa, Oklahoma. Hello, Tulsa. Thank you, Felicia. Beautiful name. And just forget it. How do you feel about AMP token? AMP is one we are looking at the moment. So far, it's looking okay. And same thing with ShepTax. Helium, decentralized Internet of Things blockchain. We are not looking at Helium. We are looking at AMP. So sorry about that, ShepStacks. I hope I got that right. ShepStacks. Stacking something. Stacking sheep. But again, we can't look at everything. We tend to look at just the big, best, most disruptive names in the crypto space. And Helium, there's been a lot of requests to look at Helium, but there's something else that turned us off when we looked at that. So we do glance at things, and we're working on a process, by the way, for everybody around how we can quickly identify why we don't like certain names and share that back with you all, because it is absolutely surprising. For example, take Harmony One. It takes 20 minutes to figure out why Harmony One is a bad deal. And a lot of people invest in it because, I don't know, they think it's the next best thing, but really it's not. So anyway, JV Fender 313, could 1 ETH ever be worth more than 1 Bitcoin? I doubt it. I doubt it very, very much. It would have to grow at 15 times the rate, 16 times the rate of Bitcoin. So Bitcoin would really have to nearly implode for that to happen. And if Ethereum was the only player in the whole DeFi space, I'd say, theoretically possible, unlikely. But I do see the ratio of ETH to Bitcoin being 10 to 1. So that means if Bitcoin goes to $100,000, Ethereum could be worth $10,000. So think about that. That definitely can happen. Great question, JV Fender. Love it. And let me see. We'll take one more. Raza Bangash, how are you? What do you think of NFTs in the future? Very bullish on NFTs. Big investor in Engine Coin. And we are looking at some other similar plays. But the next thing we're trying to actually dig into is more of the social community, sports and entertainment kind of world, like Chili's, to see if there's any options there. But we did get into Engine Coin at $1. And Engine Coin right now, I think it just hit $1.40 earlier today. Let me just check and see if that's pumping too. But Engine is, oh wow, $1.44. Woohoo. So yeah, NFTs are great, but Engine Coin is one of those things that is very volatile. It could shoot up to $3 or $5. I think $4 is a safe place, and that's where you consider taking some profit. So Reza, thank you so much. Hope everything's good in Dubai. And that should be it, hopefully. Oh, hang on. Mike Jones. Thoughts on U.S. government FUD sneaking in infrastructure bill? Some YouTube personalities say doom and gloom. Thoughts on U.S. government FUD sneaking in? Well, they stuck a lot of stuff in the infrastructure bill. Some of it's very good for Tesla, like the EV charging in major cities. And I don't know, the regulators are trying to do a couple of things. They're trying to control. They're trying to regulate crypto because they're very worried. They've been told by financial institutions, this is a big threat to us. Help us now. And the financial institutions are the people that pay politicians to get into office in the first place. But yeah, I did notice there's a lot of negative sentiment on YouTube and Twitter. A lot of people think the sky is falling. I think there will be a dip in August, maybe September. I think the C19 situation is getting worse. It's going to get worse before it gets better. There's going to be, the money printing has to continue. But, you know, as long as the money printing continues, everything will continue to go up and all roads lead to Bitcoin. So I still remain very positive, but I'm prepared for a downturn. I always like to prepare and be ready. So Rakesh Kurikami, if you had to bet $1,000 in one coin now, which one? Great channel. Love from India. Thank you, Rakesh. That's a tough question. And again, of course, just to reiterate, I can't give investment advice, and I don't, but I do tell you what I would do. So right now, I was looking at a number of places to invest $1,000, and the one that I found to be the safest with the most upside today was Ethereum, because all the others run a little bit too much. So Ethereum was kind of the one that I thought would be very safe. And the reason for that is because of the timing of EIP 1559 coming out on August 4th, which will have an impact on, you know, the amount of supply. It'll also drive a lot of bullish sentiment, and I believe a lot of demand for Ethereum. So short term, Ethereum would be the one. Although $1,000 won't get you one full Ethereum, but it'll get you nearly a half, which is good. And then a lot of the other names I was looking at as well had kind of run a lot over the past few days. And in this game, timing is everything. The other one, I think Solana is also a very good kind of sister partner to Ethereum. Engine has already gone up 42% since we got in, so ran too high. But yeah, Ethereum is the safe one, Rakesh. Very safe for everybody. Again, do your own research and see what you come up with. Brian, Bitcoin just hit 42K. I know, I'm even afraid to look at it because then I'm not going to want to get off the channel. Yeah, so let's see. It's incredible. And this is what I keep talking about. There's so much. I want everybody to just don't believe all the negative sentiment out there, but just look at the data, look at the numbers, look at the money flowing in, look at the Bitcoin flying off the exchanges, look at the adoption, look at how early we are. I mean, I think this is going to be a crazy weekend. Hope you guys get some sleep. But I see really crazy activity happening, Brian, for Bitcoin over this weekend. For us to have so much action on a Friday at this time of day, since lunchtime, that tells me there are big buyers coming in. And also, everybody, remember, one of our favorite countries, Germany, I think on the August 5th or something, 20% of their pension funds can now buy crypto and Bitcoin. And they have so much money in those pension funds. I mean, we're talking trillions. So a lot of money's coming in. We just blew through 42,000. Everybody hang tight. Don't believe the FUD. Just look at the data. Do your own research. Oh, this is the beauty of this world we live in today as well, is everything's open. Everything's transparent. Just follow the right people. Read, study, learn, and make your own decisions. And Bitcoin is just absolutely screaming along. Now, I've got to look at this for a second. Bear with me, because we started this stream when Bitcoin was at 41,200. It's gone up $914, everybody, since we began. So let's just stay here and talk all night. I'm only kidding. I got to go back to work. But I want to thank everybody for being here. You will be safe and enjoy the weekend. I think it's going to be a good one. See you soon.